Social justice is the view that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights and opportunities. As we currently function in a world that is heavily reliant upon the images that are produced in the media, it is important that we start to challenge the views that are being produced to form ideas and narratives about certain groups and individuals. Mass media production has created a shortcut for this generation, and sometimes it falsely leads viewers to believe that we have a whole picture. The LGBT community has been a victim of diluted imaging, and the media agenda has not always published a wholesome view of the community.
What are we doing now?
In order to learn about why people from the bisexual community are underrepresented in the media and beyond, we attended a meeting of the St. Edward's Promoting Respect, Inclusion, Diversity, and Empowerment, or PRIDE, organization. We spoke with Jocelyn, PRIDE's executive director, about how she believes bisexual people are affected by the bisexual erasure and other underrepresentational phenomenon in the media.
Bisexual erasure, or bisexual invisibility, is a pervasive problem in which the existence or legitimacy of bisexuality is questioned or denied outright.
When somebody is bisexual, they just portray them as either gay or straight, and they just erase the bisexual part. And part of that is also when you see characters like in Orange is the New Black, Piper, who everyone's like, oh, she's this great bisexual character. But they never say she's bi. They're always just like, I don't believe in labels, or I just really like hot people.
Bisexual celebrities have frequently faced scrutiny from media reporting upon their public acknowledgement of their sexuality. Kristen Stewart recently has been hassled by reporters because she has previously dated men. Any reference to her current relationships are viewed as either lesbian or straight, with no reference to bisexuality. This prevents bisexual people from achieving an equal representation in the media and perpetuates the binary dichotomy between gay and straight sexuality.
Liam is an advocate for the LGBT community and has been a part of the Community Alternatives to Violence organization since he was in high school. He shared with us his perception on bisexual representation, as well as some stigmas towards bisexuality he's experienced.
Typically, they're represented, or at least seen as very hedonistic, so very sexual,
Yeah.
and it's part of the whole, it doesn't matter what gender you are to me. I think that people have this misconception that means I'll just have sex with everyone.
Yeah.
So
Like, there's this idea that bi people cheat, and I think that's a stigma that's much more put on bi men for some reason.
Well, how do you think that representation affects viewers and young people's perception of their own identity?
I think it has a huge impact. I think as a young person when I was younger and I was like trying to figure out my sexuality, it was really confusing for me because I was like, I know I like boys, and like my mom has a bunch of gay friends, so I was like, I know I like girls, so like maybe I'm a lesbian like Christina, and I like boys, and so it's like really weird.
LGBT people still face huge barriers on the path to full equality. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation works through the media to show others the challenges LGBT people face.
and because we're a smaller community than lesbians and gays, we don't have as many people to drive the specific meaning of bisexuality.
And I think for many people, the idea of being, straight obviously is like normative and stuff, but I think for being gay, it's much more palpable to people. They can kind of understand it better. It's a totally different experience being gay versus being bi or any type of omnisexual. Well, I think there's so many stereotypes against bi people, like that they're greedy and that we can't make up our minds and all these.
The stereotypes mentioned pertaining to bisexuality come from its misrepresentation in the media. It is important to note the cultural change that allowed the LGBT community to gain an accurate representation did not include bisexuals. It has been proposed that the cause of this is a lack of leader or political figure to represent them. We further discuss possible causes of this with Michael Barnes.
Michael Barnes is a former St. Edward's journalism professor and reporter for the Austin American-Statesman. His work connecting the Statesman and the LGBT community goes back for over 20 years. The Statesman has been ahead of many other media organizations in terms of equal representation for the LGBT community, exemplified by their publication of domestic partnerships along with marriages for the last 15 years. Michael continues to report on the LGBT culture of Austin, yet admits there's a lack of reporting and media representation of bisexual people. He spoke with us about some of the causes for this lack of representation.
You have about that?
Well, I think if you look at the LGBT and then us,
Yes.
as you go down the line, they get less and less attention. Now, finally, the trans community is getting a lot of attention.
Absolutely.
The culture is catching up to it. I just went to Kinky Boots this week, and people are going crazy. It's now part of the culture. And of course, black, all the other things. But it seems like Hollywood, Broadway, and things like that, pop culture, tend to be ahead of the rest of culture on these issues. And I think there really hasn't been, and I may be wrong, a really strong representation of bisexuals in our culture. There hasn't been political leadership that we can point to. So I think that we're waiting to see what the news is. I think people are open to it. I think that it's something that people would be resistant to. I just think they don't. The bisexual community needs a good publicist. They need somebody who's telling their story to us, so that we can.
They need their.
Overall, Michael Barnes considers the possibility of people being more open to embracing bisexuality than they seem. However, the lack of a leader to explain the more complicated nature of bisexuality has hindered the possibility of a greater understanding. Liam goes further into the complications by explaining society's different perceptions of what it means to come out.
Like when someone comes out as gay or as lesbian, it's bigger because that's like this definite change. It's like, oh, we've known them as this up to this point, but now they're something else. But with bisexual, it's kind of like, well, I mean, they could still be with a dude, or if they're a girl, or they could still be with a girl if they're a guy.
Yeah, give me what I need.
The media attempted to solve the issue of lack of representation in the bisexual community with the release of the show Tila Tequila. However, the show only depicted bisexuals in a way that confirmed society's stereotypes.
Tila Tequila failed to serve as an accurate representation of a bisexual because the show focuses on sex, which conforms to a major stereotype surrounding bisexuality. Because there seemed to be little to no other media examples, we asked individuals belonging to the bisexual community how they would like to see bisexuality better represented.
Someone who just... It's basically what it means. It's regardless of gender, I'm going to fall in love with who I fall in love with. I'm not going to restrict myself to these boundaries that we have in society of, well, I'm a male, I should be with a female, or I'm a male, I should be with a male. It's, I'm going to feel a connection to the person I feel a connection with. It doesn't mean that I'm going to bounce back and forth between both, but who I end up with is unknown to me, and I'm not going to restrict that pool by restricting my emotions.
Goes on her, so I think it'd be awesome if they showed people actually kind of living out the reality of being bi, which is dating both multiple genders.
Yeah, I think it's really important that these actors and actresses tell their story, and I feel like oftentimes the media doesn't even give them a panel to tell their story. They don't even get a chance to do it. Or some of them will tell their story and it just gets buried. So.
This film has analyzed the social implications of the misrepresentation and underrepresentation of bisexual people in media sources such as Orange is the New Black, The Austin American Statesman, and other various television programs. Through phenomenon such as bi eraser and a lack of diversity in media producers, these media sources are enabling harmful stigmas and stereotypes to perpetuate, despite the vigilance of the LGBT+ community. This failure to depict a full and accurate image of bisexuality leads to confusion for young bisexual people, as well as a lack of understanding for the bisexual community entirely. While all of our interview subjects were involved in the LGBT+ community, it is unanimously agreed that more awareness and education on an accurate representation of bisexuality is critical for removing the stigmas that currently exist. It must be possible for others to understand that a person's love for another may not be restricted by gender. St. Edward's University has rooted many of its core teachings within the principle that the students would view global issues and propose solutions that would be socially just for all. One of the principles listed in the mission statement is, we encourage students to confront the critical issues of society and to seek justice and peace. By seeking out the equal representation of bisexual people, we hope to reignite the justice of equality that swept through the gay and lesbian communities, yet somehow forgot about the letter B.